What's up, guys? You want to talk about the Oscars?
Brendan Fraser. The Whale.
Michelle Yeoh. All I Want.
Kiwi Queen.
No. Not those Oscars. I'm talking about the ones that are coming up in about 10 months. The 2024 Academy Awards. You're ready to discuss those, right? What is wrong with me? All right, guys, welcome back to the garage. Thank you so much for joining me again. Gerald here with you. As you guys know, I'm a big awards season junkie. Now that the 2023 awards season is over, I feel a little empty inside. I've seen some of my friends have been throwing out their early predictions. It's April 2023, and I'm here to give you my top 20 films that I think are in the discussion for Best Picture as we sit here right now. So I will list the 20 films, all of which I think have a shot at being nominated for Best Picture. If I think there's anything else in there like acting or directing, I'll mention them when they come up. Also, just real quick up top, a little disclaimer. This is all for fun. I have no idea what I'm talking about. None of my friends know what they're talking about. None of us know what's going to happen with the Oscars this year. We won't know until the end of this year, early 2024. Hell, we might not even know then. Let's find out together how wrong I am when I come back next year and watch these predictions. I'll start with the most likely and I'll list down to the least likely my top 20. Let's get into it. First up, I'm going to go with the basic bitch pick for the most likely film to get nominated next year, and that is Killers of the Flower Moon. The new Martin Scorsese epic that is apparently going to be 4 hours long. Dear God. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro and is directed by Scorsese. The Irishman was a subpar film in my opinion, and it got nominated for a ton of Academy Awards. Whenever Scorsese is making a movie, his name is going to be in the mix. I am excited to see this. Apple TV will be behind it, and of course they had an Oscar winner a couple of years ago with Coda. If Coda can win, Killers of the Flower Moon can win. My number 2 second most likely movie to get nominated next year for Best Picture is the remake of The Color Purple. The optics involved and how the Academy is trying to be a lot more diverse in recent years, I think this is going to be slapping them in the face. They will absolutely have this on their radar, and because of the project and how great and well received the first film was, I can't really see how this would be a miss anyway. It's going to star a lot of R&B musicians that aren't necessarily familiar with acting. Folks like Her, Ciara, and our lead is Fantasia Barrera, who was from American Idol fame. I also think it's possible that we hear Coleman Domingo's name in the mix for supporting actor for this movie. Stand by for that. But the fact that it's an important African-American story, directed by an African-American, starring an all-African-American cast, I think this movie is almost a shoo-in lock for nominations come Oscar morning. Next up, you have a war film by Steve McQueen called Blitz. The movie has been kind of speculated on if it's going to come out this year. Is it going to be next year? Was it going to be last year? We know it wasn't last year. It's still slated to come out at the end of this year, 2023, which would make it eligible for next year's Oscars. Based on that, I'm going to throw it into my predictions here. I think whenever you have Steve McQueen and then it's starring a young darling in Saoirse Ronan, who I absolutely adore, I think this is also another one that if it's in the discussion, this is Academy material right here. It's a war film taking place at wartime, but it's also going to be kind of fun and hip because I think it's going to have these young actors who are in a group of friends that are there when bombings start happening in London during World War II. It's kind of hush-hush on a lot to do with this movie, but with the names involved and predominantly Steve McQueen as well, I think Blitz has a good shot at being on the radar. I love me some Bradley Cooper. The guy's been nominated so many times, he's yet to get the gold. Will it be for Maestro? Directed by Bradley Cooper and starring Bradley Cooper as Leonard Bernstein. I don't know. I've heard some kind of mixed things. I haven't seen it. Some friends of mine and some people that I trust have seen it. They say it's a little lackluster. They say it kind of lacks that punch. But you know what? A Star is Born in 2018 was also starring and directed by Cooper. And anytime he kind of sinks his teeth into a role, into a movie that's surrounded by music and has music at the focus, That's all you needed to sell me was A Star is Born. I thought that was a masterpiece that year. I thought it was a shame that he wasn't in the directing nominations. I thought it was a shame that it didn't win more Academy Awards. And I hope that this might be a bit of a redemption for Cooper with Maestro. I think it's Oscar baity enough, and I think his pedigree coming off of A Star is Born might be enough to kind of catapult it to some nominations, regardless of what I've heard in the critical circles thus far. So for me, Maestro is a strong possibility for a Best Picture nom. I'm not a huge Dune fan, but people love Dune. Dune Part 1 had some stuff. Dune Part 2 is going to be representative of the saga. So then you have Denis Villeneuve's possible directing nomination here. Timothée Chalamet, who is a young powerhouse stud in Hollywood, he could get nominated. Austin Butler, coming off of an Elvis nomination, is now being introduced to this universe in Dune. The cinematography, the score, the editing, the production design, the costumes, all that stuff is going to be in the mix. And when those technical achievements start to pile up, it makes more sense that it would be nominated for Best Picture. I think if they represent Dune 2 and they have that be representative of the saga as a whole, and what maybe they didn't give Dune Part 1, they can kind of give to Dune Part 2 here. They're going to look at this, I think, as a franchise and as Villeneuve's kind of baby, and we're going to go ahead and start nominating him. I think Dune Part 2 is going to be in the discussion as well. Number 5 for me is what I call the international slot. In the last few years, whether it's Drive My Car or Parasite, one of the greatest wins in Oscar history, or even this past year with a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once, is starting to become a little bit of a trend where international films, and often from the East, like Korean cinema, will start to kind of creep in to the conversation when it comes to Best Picture. And I think this year it's going to be for Past Lives. This is a movie that a lot of folks have seen already in the critical community at different film festivals. I've yet to see it, but it sounds like it's kind of a love triangle rom-com / dramedy with a predominantly Asian cast. I've heard very, very good things about Greta Lee, who is the lead in the movie, so she could possibly also get a Best Actress nomination for this. There's a female director here in Celine Song, so hopefully we start to get some more female directing nominees as well. I think Past Lives is going to be a great international film that could cross over into that Best Picture discussion this year. All right, my girl Emerald Fennell, promising young woman fame, is making another movie called Saltburn. Not only that, it's got Carey Mulligan in it. Not only that, Barry Keoghan is the lead, just coming off of his Banshees of Inisherin nomination and surprise BAFTA win. And then you have powerhouse actors like Richard E. Grant and Rosamund Pike, of course, from Gone Girl, who we're not afraid of at all in any sense of the word. The only thing that Letterboxd says about this in the tagline in the description: a college student develops an obsession with his affluent classmate. So perhaps this is going to be a little stalker cinema. I don't really know. But the people that are involved have me very excited for it. And I think this sounds like kind of a clever, hip entry into the Best Picture discussion this year. Guys, say what you will, but when Ridley Scott is directing a wartime epic film and it's starring Joaquin Phoenix, it will be in the discussion for Best Picture. And I think that's the case with Napoleon next year. So Joaquin is going to be starring as the titular Napoleon, the French militant who is infamous in world history and has been portrayed on screen before, but this is going to be a central focus on his story. I've seen some of the images from the set. Ridley Scott goes all in on practical effects, especially when it comes to wartime stuff, movies like Gladiator. This guy is going to be dedicated to making this as authentic and as believable as possible, while also being hella entertaining. And we all know that Joaquin Phoenix is one of the best alive. So look for Napoleon to start to creep into more and more conversations as the year goes on. All right, possibly a little bit of wishful thinking, maybe a lot of wishful thinking here at my number 9, but it's going to be for David Fincher's The Killer. This is a movie that I think is going to be a little more subdued, a little more tame, and a little bit more of a beautiful character study of the character that Michael Fassbender is playing, of a trained serial killing assassin in the movie. But I think it's going to be toned down. It's not going to be so much the act of these kills, but it's going to be more about his reflection on his life and how he's grown weary of the career that he chose. And in that respect, it's like a Twilight coming of age, like the Twilight of your life coming of age kind of story. And I think that Fassbender and David Fincher has got to be one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Maybe back to like his Social Network reign that he had that year, even though it didn't win nearly enough when it came to the Academy Awards. It was recognized quite a bit. I think The Killer could be that next round for Fincher in the Academy. All right, and at my number 10 most likely to be nominated for Best Picture, Michael Mann, another historic filmmaker doing another biopic called Ferrari. based on the life of Ferrari being portrayed by Adam Driver, one of the best young actors in Hollywood. The Academy loves Driver. He's already been nominated before, and I think it's only a matter of time before he walks away with an Academy Award. It could be for his portrayal of Ferrari here. Not only that, Penelope Cruz, another Academy powerhouse, is in the female lead in this movie. And like I said, Michael Mann's name and just this great biopic story taking place in the 1950s. It's going to be a period piece. All the technical stuff's there, right? Production design, costumes. Like I said before, it's going to start compounding. And eventually they're going to be like, all right, well, all these technical awards, we got to nominate it for Best Picture. So I think Ferrari is a strong possibility. All right, so I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to throw it up on the screen. I'm going to come back when I do my reactions video next year. These are the 10 movies that I said are going to be nominated for Best Picture in 2024's Academy Awards. Wow, looking at it, I might be really off. We'll find out in like 10 or 11 months. I'm going to run through my 11 through 20 real quick. I'm just going to kind of list them. Ones that I also think are in the conversation, and the conversation might start to get a little louder the closer we get to the end of the year. But my number 11 would essentially be a movie called The Holdovers, directed by Alexander Payne, starring Paul Giamatti. Does that combo sound familiar? From Sideways, of course. I think Paul Giamatti is probably a strong candidate for Best Actor for this movie from what I've heard as well. He plays a teacher that nobody likes, but he ends up befriending this one kid at the school, and they kind of like understand each other. So it sounds like it might be a little bit of a coming of age story and also a life reflection kind of story. And Paul Giamatti is a powerhouse actor. So look for The Holdovers to get some mentions, and I think that chatter will get louder as people start to learn about the movie a little bit more. Number 12 is another one that it's a filmmaker working with a couple actors that when those combos come together, they're just so powerful, and they've gotten so many accolades in the past. But it's a movie called Poor Things, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Recently with The Favorite, with Olivia Colman winning Best Actress for that. He also had Emma Stone in that one, and she'll also be in Poor Things. I don't know if it's going to be like The Favorite Yorgos or just another Yorgos film, because there's been some that have missed for him. So this is the perfect example of when the technical categories start to pile up. And I think with a movie like Oppenheimer by Christopher Nolan, it's going to be technical nomination after technical nomination. The texts are going to be galore for this movie. I mean, just looking at the trailer, I can already tell you we're looking at like visual effects. We're looking at production design. We're looking at editing. We're probably going to be looking at score. We possibly might be looking for the screenplay category. Direction, of course, Christopher Nolan, one of the greats. But I don't know, from an Oscar Academy perspective, is this Dunkirk Nolan, which was huge with the Academy, or is this like Inception, Tenet Nolan? I don't know. I just don't know. I think it's probably more Dunkirk, and I think the Academy wants more Dunkirk-esque Nolan. So I think for that reason, Oppenheimer stands a good chance. But what I really hope comes away from Oppenheimer is a Best Actor nomination for Cillian Murphy, because that guy freaking deserves it. Another kind of curveball here, but a movie called Eileen, starring Thomasin McKenzie and Anne Hathaway, in a kind of forbidden lesbian romance that takes place in the 1960s. I've seen different stills from this movie, and I also have some friends online that have seen it already, and hearing their reviews and reading their reviews, it kind of feels like maybe a Last Night in Soho type movie without the horror. It's kind of more about the love story and just kind of existing in this 1960s aesthetic. I think it sounds really, really cool, and I think we're looking for some really powerful female performances here, and it seems Oscar-y to me. All right, then you have a movie called May, December, starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, and directed by Todd Haynes. Again, you get this trio together, right? Those three names together kind of equal something. But it sounds like a May, December romance. A much older person got together with a younger person. Their relationship kind of became famous, similar to probably like a Woody Allen, Mia Farrow type thing. And then fast forward X number of years, and a photojournalist comes in to tell their story to the world and like make a documentary about it. And it kind of just turns all these different switches back on for the three people involved, the three main characters. Guys, I put this, I swear to God, this movie has been in like my last two prediction videos. I don't even want to talk about it. It keeps getting pushed back, but I think it's coming out this year. It's a movie called Next Goal Wins, directed by Taika Waititi, starring Michael Fassbender as an animated foul-mouthed soccer coach. And I really want to see this movie, but like I said, it keeps getting delayed. I don't know what's going on, But rumor has it that it will be out in the last quarter of 2023, which will be prime awards viewing season. So if that happens, I think Next Goal Wins stands a chance. If not, I'll put it in my predictions video next year for you. And then for my last few spots, who the hell? This is, if you're still watching this, I love you. I don't know what I'm talking about. But at 18 here, I'm going to say Wonka, directed by Paul King. Timothy Chalamet, they're releasing it in December. Timothy Chalamet is going to be playing this iconic character. So can he bring enough, like, crazy holy shit to it and still be grounded enough to where we can connect to it and it can be relatable? That's the beautiful kind of thing about Willy Wonka as a character that Gene Wilder really captured. But Johnny Depp was more on the animated kind of crazy side, and it wasn't as relatable. So can he kind of bring the best of those together, make it his own, of course, but like I said, still be kind of like a far-fetched like dream that we're watching, but also someone that we kind of want to sit down and talk to in a normal conversation. So I think Timothy Chalamet could be in the conversation here. I think it's more likely that he would get nominated for something like Bob Dylan next year when he portrays him. But who knows? I don't know. I'm really excited for Wonka, so I'm putting it here in my top 20. And speaking of wishful thinking and being excited, my number 2 overall most anticipated movie this year is Barbie. It's second only to The Killer, which I mentioned earlier, from David Fincher. So for Barbie, I saw the trailer. I'll throw a tag up here for you for my reaction, which, by the way, was unhinged because I'm so excited for this movie. But Gosling, Margot Robbie, bam, right there. You're good. Acting, you're good. Greta Gerwig, directing nomination for Barbie would be amazing. But again, you're looking at the text just when you watch the trailer. Just when you watch the trailer, you're looking at the production design, the costumes and makeup. You're looking at the editing. You can see all these things that are going to fall into place to make this a very well-made movie. Will the story resonate? It's written by Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, so screenplay is on the table right away as well. I just think if you pile up a lot of those texts, and then maybe Gosling or Margot Robbie or somebody sneak in there, Gerwig for director, let's get Barbie a Best Picture nom, guys. And finally, I will end with the only movie that I've actually seen in this top 20. It's a movie called Air, directed by Ben Affleck. I think the problem is that it came out too early to where it may not be relevant come January. That's my fear, because Matt Damon turns in the best performance in this movie since Good Will Hunting of his career. Ben Affleck is a director that always delivers. The Town, Argo, and now Air, to be honest. This might be his best directed film. Not necessarily I like it the best, because I think The Town is probably my favorite movie of his. But this might be the most sure-handed directorial effort that he's turned in. The acting in this movie is freaking phenomenal. Chris Tucker was an absolute shocking delight. I loved him in this movie. Viola Davis was a powerhouse as always. It's a really interesting, like, important pop culture story. So there you have it, guys. I apologize in advance if you're basing anything that you believe on my predictions, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I've done some research. I've watched other folks' predictions. I've read some articles about, what some of these directors and movies have done in the past that might be big for them come 2024. But to be honest with you, like I said at the top, we don't know. No one knows until it starts to kind of come into focus a little bit. But I want to thank you for watching, and please let me know down in the comments, what movie did I forget? I'm sure there's a movie coming out this year, or maybe already came out this year, that you think deserves to be nominated for an Oscar. Please let me know what that is down below, and please subscribe to this channel. I will come back with an updated predictions video in a few months when the focus is a little clearer, and we'll see if any of these are still in my top 20. Until then, I'll see you guys next time in the garage.